Between these two nations, this is as good a rehearsal as any. It's similar kick-off time, etc. And it's not proving anything other than a very difficult match for England at the moment. There's not too much flow to it either. Pearce underneath this. 1-1 was the score in Saudi Arabia, and 1-1 is the score at this stage today. And we've now entered the last 14 minutes. And here's Smith. Still Alan Smith, but he worked hard to make that chance. But by and large, most of England's shots have come from distance, and we haven't successfully opened up that Greek defence inside the 18-yard area. Bobby Robson has just started to think about warming up substitutes. I've got a feeling we might see a change, Trevor.
And not surprisingly, I think it's going to be Peter Beardsley because I think up front there it would be slightly disappointing. It has been difficult for them with the two markers and the sweeper behind them, but Alan Smith and Gary Lineker as strikers are those type of players that do rely on service and are probably not going to go past their particular markers with individual dribbling ability, whereas Peter Beardsley is that type of player, and so it's an opportunity, although he hasn't got long, just 13 minutes, it's an opportunity just perhaps to show Bobby Robson that he could edge back into the Albanian game.
Well, I know the England manager was criticised in some quarters for making his substitutions in Saudi Arabia very late. It's going to be now 12 minutes that Beardsley will have, although, having said that, he should know as much about Beardsley now as there is to know. He's going to come on to replace Alan Smith, who I would have thought put in a tremendous amount of effort starting an international for the first time without too much luck. He's left the field, the Arsenal player, and Beardsley has taken his place. So this is back now to the alternative England formation, if you like. The shorter men up front, the ball to be played to feet. The return to the aerial style doesn't really seem to have paid off today. Greece had the kind of defenders, I think it's fair to say, to combat the sort of threat that England were hoping Smith might be. So Beardsley's on, and the score is still 1-1. There is Beardsley, in fact, out to Barnes. Lineker's waiting in the centre here, and he's headed that one back intelligently to Robson. Oh, that's a very good goal for England. An excellent goal. Brian Robson scored it, and Gary Lineker made it, and that was good team play. The England fans applaud, and that was something to cheer. Beardsley was at the beginning of that move. Barnes actually provided the cross. What an intelligent back header or header backwards, I should say, by Lineker, and a volley with that tried and trusted left foot of Brian Robson, bringing him his 23rd international goal. And this was certainly the best moment of the afternoon for England. A deep cross by John Barnes. Lineker, a really fine piece of setting up there. And just look at that volley by Robson. That's precise, isn't it? Splendid goal by England, gives us a 2-1 lead with 11 minutes to go. And it came within, a few seconds, actually, of Beardsley coming on the pitch, and here he is again. And Lineker's closing in on the far side, that one a bit too deep for him. Great finish, Trevor.
Well, it's a great move, wasn't it? Peter Beardsley, actually, almost his first touch, played it out to John Barnes. A great cross, right? Rather ironic, having taken the target man off. Gary Lineker should win the ball in the air and nod it down, and really, Brian Robson, a great strike.
If I could just interrupt you there, Trevor, we are seeing some crowd misbehaviour, but I have to say that is a Greek section of the crowd that we saw there, throwing cushions and generally misbehaving. And one hopes it won't provoke a reaction from the England fans, who in fact are to their right. But certainly what you saw on the screen was not the England supporters. This is Rocastle. And I do have to underline again that Greece have had some awful hooliganism problems of their own in the last few months. In fact, 8,000 seats were damaged here, broken and thrown away during a volatile league match, and a lot of damage was done costing many thousands of pounds, and it seems as though that is just starting to show itself again today, that kind of behaviour. And there is a row of helmeted policemen trying to make that crowd subside. There were strict security measures taken, as you can imagine, before this match. A lot of consultation between the two countries. A huge security force has come to the stadium, and it's in that section there where the Greeks are clearly taunting the England fans that most of the trouble is occurring. Back on the pitch, we have about 8 minutes to go. It's England 2, Greece 1, courtesy of Brian Robson, who won't strike a sweeter shot than that, I wouldn't think. And I would imagine one of the happiest men around when that flew in was his namesake, the England manager, because it was beginning to look as though we were going to have to grind out a rather uninspiring 1-1 draw at that point. Here's Webb for England, but Greece will be... Well, it's actually gone the other way, the free kick. Greece tried to take it, but in fact the foul has been given in England's favour. So here's Gary Stevens on the ball now, finding David Rocastle. And that's a good little ball by Neoplias, the number 10, but Robson inevitably is the player that gets back to win it. That's got to be a free kick. Lineker has taken a lot of punishment today. Taken many times from behind by the uncompromising number 5, Kalizakis. It's produced a free kick to England with less than 7 minutes to go. And another goal now would tie up the result quite nicely. Well, it won't come like that. There was a misunderstanding between Barnes and Pearce. Might be a point to make about the season Brian Robson's had, Trevor. I mean, fortunately injury-free. We hope that continues, but he has played awfully well, hasn't he?
Well, he's been outstanding for Manchester United right from the start of the season, when in fact they weren't getting results. He was the shining light during that spell, and has carried on since their resurgence over the last few weeks. And today, he and Neil Webb, I think, have done very well middle of midfield, and John Barnes, I think, has had a good game. David Rocastle has as well. So the midfield quartet, I think, have done exceptionally well. I think probably Peter Beardsley, Gary Lineker will be the striking duo in Albania. And so there's just the one query probably is who will play alongside Terry Butcher. Des Walker has probably got better and better as the game goes on. But of course you have Tony Adams, who was injured on this particular game, who's played a number of matches, and possibly that might be the one position that there could be a change.
Trevor, they're looking ahead to a month's time when we have that crucial match in Tirana, which you'll be able to see on BBC television. For the time being, you're seeing Greece try to dig their way out now, 2-1 down, with around 6 minutes to go in the Olympic Stadium in Athens. England lifted by a quite splendidly executed goal. Beardsley. Beardsley sometimes criticised for his lack of goal output, but he does a lot of work coming deep and starting things off. Here he is now, and in fact he was in that position. His first touch really when he came on was to start off the move. And that's a good ball forward now for Barnes, but he's offside. He's offside. Started the move, Beardsley, which led to Barnes crossing. But when Barnes got into a scoring position himself on this occasion, the flag was up. It wasn't by much. Trevor has made the point. There's some hairline decisions here today by the Austrian linesmen, and they've gone against England by and large. Good touch play again by, goodness me, Lineker was left sprawling there. This is Rocastle, a really heavy tackle on Lineker. Bearing in mind the amount of punishment he takes, you have to continue to marvel at Lineker's temperament. Never seems to react in any way at all, but certainly hurt by that one. And Fred Street and Norman Medhurst both on the pitch. I think Gary's performance will be of some interest to Peter Reid, because of course they were Everton colleagues, and Peter back there in the studio supplied the superb pass from which Lineker scored in the cup final a few years ago. Today it was Lineker who was the supplier for Robson. Here's Neil Webb. And I would think Peter too has taken a great interest in the England midfield that Trevor was talking about a few minutes ago, that quartet of Rocastle, Webb, Robson and Barnes. Would you think it was hard for Waddle to get back then for the Albania game? Perhaps we could debate that in a minute, Trevor. This is Rocastle. And Lineker comes in again.
Well, I think David Rocastle's done very well on the right-hand side. I think the big query with Chris Waddle is, if he'd have been fit, as to whether Bobby Robson would have played him in the hole just behind the front two. Now the formation, as it has been, almost a flexible 4-4-2, it might be difficult for him to get back in.
Well, we'll see. For the moment, it's England leading 2-1 in Athens. Butcher has gone forward to get on the end of a long throw by Gary Stevens. Rocastle's in there. So too is Barnes, so too is Robson. Barnes was blocked a bit there on the edge of the area, should really have had a free kick, but you don't get those, I don't think, in these situations. And with just over 2 minutes left here in Athens, it's 2-1 to England. If anybody has joined the action very late, Greece took the lead with a penalty in their first attack of the match. Barnes equalised from a free kick for England, and Robson put us ahead with a quite spectacular volley from the best England move of the afternoon. That's how it stands at the moment, with Greece more in hope, I think, than confidence, pushing forward, looking for an equaliser themselves. And they won't get it there because there was some pushing, and the play will have to be brought back. It's a free kick against Gary Stevens. Really, with his performance today, Rocastle, one of the England successes. We're into the last minute of this friendly match in Athens. Greece have the throw to be taken by Tsoulahidis. And that's going to be a corner. So perhaps there's a chance yet for Greece, and a little bit of anxiety here for England. They're piling everybody forward in there. Crowd getting really behind the Greeks now. This could be their last opportunity. Oh, and Shilton needed help. Des Walker, I think it was, who came with the header, but I may in fact have seen a foul there, and Shilton will take a free kick anyway. 79th minute when Brian Robson scored that excellent goal. And it looks as though it's going to be the one by which England win this friendly and therefore go into the Albanian adventure with something to build on. It was so important that they got some kind of high out of this match, and it didn't look that way when we started off with a goal against us so early, and it wasn't looking that way for long periods in the second half, it has to be said. But whoever you play at international level these days, you have to work so hard for what you get. And in the end, it came off. We're now entering time that the Austrian referee may decide to add on for stoppages. Gary Lineker loses the ball midfield, but then half wins it back for Beardsley. That's well turned on by Peter Beardsley to Rocastle. Barnes is over on the left wing free. Oh, look at that tackle again on Lineker. He'll be black and blue after this game. I don't know what he'll be feeling as he goes off. But what is certain is that England have beaten Greece by 2-1 in this friendly in Athens. It was a difficult game, but it was won by a goal to remember from the captain, Brian Robson, set up by Gary Lineker. Final score, Greece 1, England 2.
Well, 2-1 looks so much better than 1-1. Let me tell you, you probably know that Scotland are playing a World Cup qualifying match in Group 5 today. Not so very far away either, in Cyprus. And it's 2-2 at the moment. Scotland were 1-up through Mo Johnston. Then the Cypriots scored twice, and Richard Gough has put Scotland back in it in 54 minutes. But that match has got about 20-25 minutes left to play. But Scotland got problems there. It's one they desperately need to win. Cyprus 2, Scotland 2 is the latest score. Well, you saw England's winner, I presume, but if you've just joined us, you might not have seen the goals that happened before. Let's put that right straight away now by showing you all 3 goals in the match.
The message from Bobby Robson and Don Howe is for a fairly positive start here, but it's the Greeks in possession with Samaras, the centre forward, out to Tian Sakis. Samaras comes in again, and the prominent start is by Greece, because that is going to be a penalty kick. Saravakos has put the ball on the spot, and Greece have taken the lead in the 2nd minute. And that is John Barnes, and it's gone in. Lineker's waiting in the centre here, and he's headed that one back intelligently to Robson. Oh, that's a very good goal for England. An excellent goal.
So 2-1 to England. Peter Reid's with us, and Jimmy, of course, with us. Would you say that was a satisfactory performance overall?
In many respects, yes. I mean, it doesn't really matter. We're not going to sort of go out and all get drunk that England have won a match 2-1, because that's not really the object of the exercise. It really is to prepare and find the team that will matter for the match in Albania, which is a difficult match. And if Bobby Robson's found a few clues to help him today, for instance, is he going to play Smith having given 1 run, or is he going to bring Beardsley back?
What's your hunch?
I think he'll bring... Well, I would go positively for height against the Albanians. Let's use something that we're good at in English football, and that's winning balls in the air, especially for dead ball movements. And presumably Adams will come back, along with Butcher, good in the air. Brian Robson, good in the air. I'd leave Alan Smith there, but I'd bring Beardsley in as well.
Well, we didn't do much with height in that match, did we?
No, well, the volley was set up by a header down from Lineker, but the crosses weren't going in. It's wrong to blame Alan Smith for not dominating in the air in that particular match, because we didn't have that many crosses. But Waddle has got to play anyway. Of Rocastle, who did very well today, and he'll get good write-ups in the press tomorrow. He's not experienced enough for a match that is that vital. So I like Waddle in. I don't think Barnsley has quite done it at that level. And the team picks itself then. Leave Webb and Robson back 4 there, Smith and Lineker up front, and go positively to win the ball in the air. Maybe win the game from dead ball movements.
Well, the game was won today, at least, and we enjoy winning goals. So let's have your thoughts on that once again.
Oh, yeah, well, there's the header back from Lineker. He didn't have a fine game, but it was a lovely header back and a beautiful crisp volley from Brian Robson. May I say how lucky England are to have a captain like that. He's had his personal problems here and there, but you can't fault what he does on the field of play. Lovely header back. You see, it was cushioned in front of him. Sweet old left foot there. Lovely strike. Yeah, we were drooling at that because it was a lovely flash of football, which you expect to see at international level, but a good skipper.
It's a sight you like too, isn't it, Peter? Brian Robson going forward like that.
Yeah, I think when he's running forward, striking balls from the edge of the box, I think that's his greatest strength, and to try and defend against that's very difficult. If he gets on the edge of the box or in the box, he's hard to stop, Robo.
As a midfield specialist, what was your impression of the midfield for England today?
1-0 down after 2 minutes, always difficult. International football, there are no mugs. I thought the lads did well. I thought they fought back, and a 2-1 win's a 2-1 win. I thought the midfield looked compact. I thought they did enough today to win.
What about that team?
What about that team?
Yeah, I mean, go on, have a go at it.
Have a go at it? No, I mean, the England job's a difficult one. I must admit, I think Chris Waddle's in great nick. I've seen him once or twice.
Does the public know what team we're quite talking about there? Perhaps you should spell it out.
Well, midfield, Waddle, Webb, Robson and Beardsley back, who's a player of quality. He's lacked stamina once in a while, but him back fresh, I think, is a must. Smith and Lineker up front.
And you bring Adams back at the heart of the defence.
Yeah, very, very simple. I did think possibly Bobby Robson will put Beardsley up alongside Lineker and play Waddle and Barnes. And Rocastle has made his point today. I think he'll have a day. But it is a difficult job for him. I mean, how do you judge Shilton on what happened today? He had 4 or 5 things to do, you know, and we're all making judgments on that. Does that mean he's finished? Does that mean he's as good as he ever was? And Bobby Robson gets a better evaluation of a player by ringing up his manager and say, how's he going? Than he does really from watching him in a performance like that.
There's no question really of dropping a player of Shilton's quality before an important match like that, like Albania, is there?
I think if Woods were